to this very special session that I'm doing, which is a live recording that we're doing for our packaging summit in November, and will go out as an episode on one of the Fridays running up towards Christmas. So it'll be something you can share and see and hopefully enjoy. It also will be a podcast that we run, and I am very pleased to have with me Kristi Duvall of the Boxmaker company in Seattle. Kristi, hi.
Hi, Frazer. How are you today?
I'm good. Early morning for you, late afternoon for me. But yeah, really good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. And you and I obviously spoke before when we're very lucky to do the HP webinar that we did back in May, which looked at sustainability in packaging. And I love talking to you then. It'd be good to kind of pick up with you again and find out a little bit more about what's happening. So, Kristi, just give me a little bit of an overview of Boxmaker and in particular your role.
The Boxmaker has been around since 1981. In fact, we just celebrated our 40-year anniversary this year. We have manufacturing in Seattle and recently expanded into Springdale, Arkansas in the U.S. We manufacture corrugated boxes. We fabricate foam for blocking and bracing. We print labels. And we also do digital packaging. So that's really where most of our growth has been. And then just the complete package, as far as supplies like tape, bubbles, stretch, corner boards, that kind of stuff. My role with the company, I've had several roles with the Boxmaker. I've been with the company for just over 15 years. I've had progressive responsibility. My current role is the VP of Sales. I am responsible for all aspects of sales after marketing, including structural design, pricing, and client services.
Brilliant.
And sales.
Brilliant. And we'll get into a little bit more depth in terms of what that involves. But Boxmaker as a business, so what's it about? What's it do?
At the Boxmaker, we really work with our clients to look at end-to-end supply chain and really look at what do they need from a packaging program perspective to help them grow their business and sell more products.
So do you classify yourself as a sort of managed packaging service? Is that what you are as a business?
Yes. We, in addition to manufacturing products, and we also have a large part of our business where we work with partners for products that we don't manufacture. Custom supplies items like custom folding cartons and different kinds of products. And we really try to manage that process for the customer because especially now, there's challenges with people filling positions on a consistent basis. And that tribal knowledge is, retiring out of a lot of the workforce. And you need a partner to really understand the business and the demands of supply chain and different kinds of products and printing processes. And we can help the customer do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you mentioned about Springfield, which is, so at the moment you're Seattle. So what technology have you got in terms of available to you?
And the current facility is located in Springdale, Arkansas, and we're in the process of building a new facility in Lowell, which is just up the road from Springdale. Most people would recognize it's close to Bentonville, Arkansas, which is the home of Walmart. Right. We are building a brand new digital print facility. So it's somewhat of a duplicate of our facility in Seattle in terms of digital print capabilities. Both locations will have an HPC 500, which is a water-based ink digital press, no UV compounds, no UV bonding agents. It's true water-based ink. From a sustainability standpoint, it's a huge advantage for customers. And then we'll have digital finishing, which is all CAD cutting or laser cut.
Brilliant. So really, you've got quite an experience of the HP C500, used it a lot. That's been the kind of workhorse of what you've done and what you've delivered to your customers. And I guess the flexibility of digital just gives you loads more scope, flexibility to print different messages, all the things that make life better for the customer, I guess.
Yeah, and we do have HPC 500 for digital corrugated. We also have some flatbed UV presses because there's a time and a place for those as well. We have digital finishing in both locations, CAD tables, laser, but the ability of digital to really communicate with customers in a different way. So many customers are used to buying this truckload quantity and then sitting on inventory. They're not really looking at the true cost of managing all of that inventory. And with digital, you can change out the message, run a program, run a promotion. You can do regionalization. You can do custom printing for each retailer. A lot of retailers want something that's exclusive. And you can combine all of these different runs for different retailers with different messaging. And be able to maximize.
Yeah, and that really gives you untold flexibility. And I guess from the point of view of the customer, they like that because, you know, they can do special, short run, they can be doing variable data, you know, all these things. Is that right? Have I got that right?
Yeah, it gives them a lot of flexibility, particularly when they're doing test launches or market testing. They can do A/B testing to see which product sells, you know, more. With HP, you have the flexibility of doing mosaic, so you can have like a seed file in the background, and it's brand consistent, but every package can be different. You can do sequential numbering if you need to do any, you know, tracking of product codes. Ingredient changes, particularly for food brands and beverage brands, regulatory changes. It just gives you such flexibility without the expensive plate costs. And also thinking about those plates, you know, when they're end of life, where do they go? They end up going in a landfill. And from a sustainability perspective, consumers are really pushing that really hard with the brands, and the brands are being forced to respond, and it's something they should be thinking about.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So it's not only a kind of cost efficiency argument, it's also a sustainability argument, isn't it? The customers that you've got, who are the kind of typical customers that you're working with at the moment, the ones you can tell us about?
We have a really wide industries, you know, there's a wide gamut of industries that the Boxmaker serves. A large chunk of our business is mainly on food and beverage, wine, beer, cannabis, general manufacturing.
Sorry, I don't know why. It's very rare that we talk about cannabis on kind of future print podcasts and things. So yeah, interesting. You're right. It makes sense. Are you actually in California? I know that's not California, is it? It's the next one up. What's that?
Well, the Boxmaker actually does cover. Where Seattle obviously is in Washington State, but also we have branches in Oregon, and then we also, you know, can ship to California for digital.
Yeah, and I guess cannabis is one of the products that is out there, isn't it? So it needs packaging.
Yes.
Sorry, made me laugh. Anyway,
it's okay.
Yeah, sorry, I forget these things. So in terms of your customer base, I was just thinking a little bit about what typically they're asking for. What, is it long run, medium length run? What do people come to you and say, we just want 500 of this?
It's a total mix. We serve, fully funded startups, fully funded small businesses. But most of our customer base is mid-sized to large. Yeah. And we run anywhere from a small, test run of, a few hundred displays. But we also will run truckloads of digital print for a customer that might be doing like a club store release.
Yeah, makes sense. So I know when we talked before, you were a real kind of sustainability evangelist. That's kind of still remains crucial. What's the credibility? What are the things that are kind of you see as really important as a business in terms of your sustainable records? What you do? I think it's
really both sides. I think it's really about having a conversation with the customer to understand what's important to them. It seems that every customer defines sustainability differently.
Yeah.
It has to do with what their consumers are demanding. Does the packaging have to be recycling? Does it have to come from post-consumer waste? Does it have to be recyclable? Does it have to be reusable in some way? There are some brands that are, putting print on the inside of the package to help you figure out how to make it into something after the formal life cycle of the package, whether it becomes a piece of furniture or a toy for kids. And so it's really different for every brand, and it's really about having that conversation and listening.
Yeah, I like that idea that kind of the cardboard box that something comes in then can be used for something else, kind of thing, rather than being, recycled or straight away back into the bin. You're actually saying, well, no, what we'll do is you can cut it up and make it into a chair or, something like that.
Totally. I wish more brands would be open to that and really think about how to use that. I think, in Europe, that's it's a bigger driving force in Europe and less so in the US, but definitely trying to have that conversation with clients to think beyond just the product itself. And talk about connecting with the consumer on a different level. Your product's going to be visible in their home for long after what may be the life cycle of your product itself.
Yeah, and also there's that argument, isn't there, about printing inside the box as well as outside the box. So, thinking a little bit differently about what the box's purpose is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, printing print two-side is definitely an option. Lots of customers are driving toward that printed two-side to really just give a general branding on the outside, but to truly give an experience when the customer opens the box. Whether it's, e-com. Obviously, there's such a drive and demand for products to be delivered to someone's home. And, with so many changes coming out of the last couple of years, I think a lot of habits will stick. More people are returning back into a retail environment. So the demand for displays to grab the customer's attention is definitely increasing. But also there are a lot of habits from an e-commerce perspective where customers are saying, you know what, I don't need to go pick that up. Maybe I don't need to drive my car to go get something and I can have it delivered. There's a whole other topic about the number of delivery vehicles driving up and down our streets. That's a different topic for a different day.
Yeah.
But that drive for e-commerce is not going to go away. And it really gives small to mid-sized brands an opportunity to get out there because it's tough to compete for retail shelf space. And it gives them that direct-to-consumer opportunity. Now brands are getting discovered on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. So they don't need to be on a retail shelf anymore. But packaging is that way to stand out.
Yeah, I think, that's interesting what you said there, because we've kind of seen, the whole COVID thing has shifted the dynamic from a retail space. Obviously retail was going through an evolution anyway, but generally, people are buying things online and then having it delivered. So if you're a retail business, you have to think differently about all the different processes. What used to be really important was things like shelf location and, and how you grabbed attention as you walked into a supermarket. Well, actually, the packaging does something different now. It arrives at your door and, it's a pick it up, take it inside, unbox it. So different things are occurring, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And even from a retail perspective, getting that customer to come into the retail store, make it beautiful. Put displays out that draw the consumer in to look at different products and actually go to different zones. I think a lot of consumers that go into a retail store, if they're a loyal customer, they go to the space where they know where the product is that they want, but they're not spending a lot of time wandering the aisles and trying something out that's different. And I think displays can really help retailers drive that consumer to try something different.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'm interested because when we did a kind of prep day and we were chatting before, I think we talked a little bit about sort of the big trends that are occurring at the moment. And I'd like to ask you a little bit about your view on the trends. But one of the things I keep hearing is two things actually: supply chain. So certainly in Europe, we're hearing a lot about supply chain and kind of bottlenecks. So I'd like to ask you a bit about that. The other thing that's been mentioned to me quite a bit in the last week or so is resourcing of people, of the right people. Do these things, are these the trends that you're seeing on that side of in the US at the moment?
Yeah, it's a topic of conversation almost every single day. I'm a member of several different organizations, just from a networking perspective. I'm also a member of Women in Manufacturing. So
I was going to ask you about that. You've kind of got me too early there. I was going to ask you about your Women in Manufacturing Award, but hang on, tell us that in a moment. Don't go into that yet.
Okay. But I went to a recent in-person event a couple of months ago, and almost every single conversation was, hey, what kind of people issues and what kind of supply chain issues you're having?
Yeah.
There was just an assumption that we were all experiencing the same problem.
Yeah.
As this demand for a combination of both e-com and in-store retail is driven, it drives up the demand for corrugated.
Yeah.
And, corrugated capacity, it's limited. It's very difficult to bring new, corrugated capacity or frankly, any of the products that we sell. New capacity is hard to come by. It's huge investment. From a supply chain perspective, if you think about opening a new factory, let's say somebody was going to bring on new capacity. Well, the backlog for equipment and automation and robotics has doubled, which speaks to what you've talked about, or one of the questions you have is also about people. The people resources. It's a huge issue.
Why do you think that is? Where's that come around? It's we all thought it was going to be a challenge to find people, but we didn't know what the sort of skill base was going to be. We knew that COVID was going to change things, but what's happened? Why is it occurring? And is it how's it occurring in our industry? What are you looking for in terms of skills?
Looking for somebody who's curious, and hungry and driven. Like, the Boxmaker is a mid-sized company. So we've got a few hundred employees, but we're looking for people to be a leader in almost every single position. Even if you don't have manager in your title, we're looking for people who have leadership skills that really are forward thinking and not afraid to raise their hand and say, I'm not sure this is working right. Can we try something different? From a Boxmaker perspective, it's a very entrepreneurial company in terms of how we think and part of our culture. So we're looking for people that want that. And obviously coming out of COVID, a lot of people want a work from home position. And in manufacturing, that's difficult to do. The other thing, Kristi, that seems to be mentioned a few times is maybe, I'm not sure whether it'd be the same in the US, but it's certainly happening in Europe. A lot of people who were furloughed over the sort of 18 months of COVID, and possibly what people decided whilst they were sort of furloughed, that they thought, well, actually, I don't want to work anymore. I want to change direction. I want to go and do something else. So, I might have these skills as someone who's worked in production for packaging for years, but I'm going off to be a teacher. And kind of it just left us with possibly a lack of some of the top skills we used to have, the technical skills that were there that were crucial. And there's not necessarily that follow through from younger people who are coming into the industry. And also there's the argument about getting young people into our industry, which is difficult because it's not sexy. So there's lots of things going on, isn't there? Huge. Actually, it's one of the hot topics for me. We don't do a good job of attracting talent. Like you said, packaging is not sexy. It's not something that is taught at most universities. There are a couple of universities in the US that have, packaging design programs, but it's not widespread. And we also do a good job of attracting talent to begin with, let alone a diverse group of people. And we really need to drive that diversity effort within print and packaging.
But like you just said, and you're right, you're looking for people who've got real leadership skills, who have got, who are creative in their thinking, who are willing to challenge what you're doing, who are not kind of conforming. So they're going to be open-minded, innovative thinkers. So, you know, it sounds like your culture's like that. It's just, how can we get young people to want to come and work for, you know, companies like yours?
Yeah, I think that COVID also made people rethink what are their priorities.
Yeah.
Like you talked about, you know, doing a reset, like maybe I want to go do something else. Yeah. You know, I participated in a mentoring event recently, and I had a lot of people ask me, well, I really want to change directions, but I'm not sure where to go. So I think our industry needs to, you know, I was talking to somebody yesterday about how do they attract talent to the manufacturing floor.
Yep.
And it was really about, they've done a great job of doing community outreach, participating in, you know, going to community events, putting up, you know, posters at retailers and trying something that's a little unconventional. And I think maybe that's what we need to think about is, you know, stop using the same old, I mean, it's important to still have postings on the common job sites, but to try something different and do grassroots community effort and become more active in our communities.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, there's often talk about this. You know, if you listen to people like Simon Sinek talking about why, he often says things like, you know, you get out of your comfort zone. You know, people that talk about great innovators often network with people they wouldn't normally network with. It's too easy for us to go and network with a load of packaging people because, you know, it's comfortable. But like you said, flip it and let's go and you know, network with people you wouldn't normally network with, but talk to them about what you do to you know, to find people that maybe have got skills that you want, but aren't necessarily in the same space as you are. So yeah, I completely get that. Kristi, tell us a little bit about what you kind of alluded to. Have you won an award or something? Is that right? Have I got that?
Yeah. Yes. I was nominated by a coworker at the Boxmaker to the editor of Big Picture magazine. And
we know her well.
Big Picture magazine is just a publication about, you know, printing and wide format. And every year they choose women leaders because like we just talked about, there's not a lot of diversity in our industry. And so they recognize women leaders who are really driving forward innovation, driving creativity. They have progressive responsibility in their roles, you know, through the industry. And I'm very honored to be considered part of this group of women leaders. And I'm really looking forward to hearing their stories directly from them, in addition to the publication itself. And it's just a huge honor. I'm very excited.
And just on that note, you just said it, their story. And you know, we could argue a case, couldn't we? We could say that in the kind of print and packaging markets, traditionally male-dominated, you know, people that seem to be getting on are often males, often, you know, of a certain age and demographic, whatever. Tell me your story to the top. How's it happened? What's happened? What have you done? What makes it so amazing?
I think it's part of the story that's published in the magazine.
Okay.
It's really about mentorship. It's really been about people helping me identify my own potential. You know, when you're young and inexperienced, you question yourself, do I really have what it takes? I could never imagine myself being a manager. That seems so difficult. And I guess in my time at the Boxmaker, I remember when I thought about going into management, I was very fortunate. I was a salesperson for in the industry, and then I came to the Boxmaker, and I was a sales rep for about 7 years. I had won all of the awards because we have a kickoff dinner, and there are awards given to the salespeople for outstanding performance. Brilliant. I'd won all the awards that I could win. I had been the top producer for several years, but I wanted something more. I was very fortunate to work for a sales manager who just really inspired me. And I wanted to be able to do that same thing for other people. And so I remember multiple times talking about how I wanted to go into management. And my current manager, who is also the owner of the Boxmaker now, he said, well, great salespeople don't usually become great managers. And I said, well, I'm not like everybody else.
Hold on.
I'm here to pay it forward for other people. And so they gave me a shot coaching salespeople to transition from inside sales to outside to a full commission role. The owner had a conversation with me and said, wow, you're really serious about this? And I said, yeah. And so there was an opportunity to run the Seattle region sales team. So I was a Seattle regional manager for a couple of years. And I've been the VP of sales for about 3.5. I definitely have my struggles. We all have days when we question ourselves, like imposter syndrome. Are they going to find out? They're going to find out I'm not as good as they thought.
Yeah.
And I think part of what makes me a good leader is my vulnerability. I'm not afraid to be honest with people about how hard it is to climb your way to the top and make it. And there's definitely some struggles, but those challenges, and like you talked about, getting out of your comfort zone, those are the things that really drive growth within ourselves. And
I think what you said is absolutely right. It's exactly that. It's that vulnerability and being able to say, look, I'm not quite sure about this. Give me some help. And I think something you mentioned a couple of times, which I think is also absolutely crucial, is mentoring, and that idea of sharing your skill with other people. And knowledge and kind of, without any, on the basis that you're going to get something back, but just because actually it's great to share stuff. It's great to give a bit of insight to someone and to hear their thoughts, and that sort of reciprocity of, of working both ways sometimes. It's just brilliant, isn't it? That, funny enough, I did it last week. I was in a training session and I asked everyone in the room, who's happy to help other people? And everyone put their hand up. So,
sure.
Everyone's happy to do that. It's like, well, why don't we do it in work environment? Why don't we do that then? Why don't we just, give people a bit of help rather than be in a sort of competitive frame of mind always? So, yeah, thank you for that. That's a really nice thought at the end of our conversation. Was there anything as we wrap up that you wanted to say just generally about Boxmaker and where you're going, and as a business, how you see things happening in the next year or so?
We've been very fortunate at the Boxmaker. We do a lot of investment. Our ownership is very committed to being forward-thinking, innovative, and it's really exciting. We've been in digital print for about 10 years, and I'm really excited for what the future holds in terms of innovation, really driving customers to try something different. Just try something different. You have nothing to lose by making a small investment. What if it works? What if it pays off? What if you were able to get a couple of new retail accounts, or, give your business an opportunity to expand and try something new.
Yeah.
And Boxmaker can definitely help customers across the US help do that.
Brilliant. Be bold.
Be bold. I love it.
Yeah. Kristi, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate that. Some really interesting insight there. And just gave us, something we don't often hear, a kind of slightly different perspective of actually, what it entails and how you've kind of developed your role and what's important to you. So it's really good that you kind of opened up a bit there and just give us a bit more information. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And I hope to see you sometime in the future. Who knows where?
Yes, very much so. Very much appreciated the conversation. Thank you for the invite.
No worries. Thank you.